Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sally and this is Secret Life of a Seamstress, my channel where I talk all about sewing, knitting and crafting. Thank you so much for joining me today and I hope you're all doing really well. So today's video is the last in my small series really of Me Made May videos. So throughout May I've been putting up a midweek video talking all about what I've been wearing, my handmade outfits and things like that, and just a little sort of mini vlog really of what I've been doing and sharing a little bit more of my handmade wardrobe. But sadly, the last week of May kind of went a bit pear-shaped. We had half term and we were away, and I just got out of the habit really of filming day to day what I was wearing and what we were doing and things like that. It just wasn't really working, so I didn't put pressure on myself to carry on with that. And I thought that instead I would film a video and share it today, talking all about the 5 main things that I will be taking away from my own Me Made May challenges this year. And I thought I would just share them with you today. So just in case you're not familiar with the concept of Me Made May, it's a challenge run mainly over on Instagram by Sozo blog. And it's a kind of challenge really for sewists to think about their handmade wardrobe during Me Made May, and you can interpret it really however you want to. So some people choose to try and wear Me Made every single day and share a photo over on Instagram. Other people might choose to say sew more or think about gaps in their wardrobe or whatever. You can interpret it however you want to really. So I'd say this is the first year that I've properly taken part in Me Made May. In the past I'd kind of throw up a photo on Instagram stories here and there if I happened to be wearing Me Made. But otherwise I would kind of follow along with what everyone else was doing and enjoy seeing their pictures and what they were doing with the challenge themselves, and not really think about taking part properly myself. But this year I really wanted to take part and have a good old think really about how my handmade wardrobe was working for me, gaps in my wardrobe, how I wanted to sort it out and just make it work for me really. So I really did want to be better at posting on Instagram stories what I was wearing daily. But yeah, I'd say I was pretty rubbish at that still on the whole. I just tend to forget really with Instagram stories. I have all the good intentions of posting on there. And I suppose I am pretty regular, but I definitely could be better at it, let's say. I just find that the day tends to run away with me, and before I know it, I've forgotten to post things on stories. So I'd really like to get better at that, but I do feel as though I was quite good at keeping up with my YouTube clips, so that's something. So this year, some of the challenges that I set myself were to try my best where possible to wear Me Made every day, and share a little clip either here on YouTube or, as I say, over on Instagram stories. I also wanted to make a bit more effort thinking about what I was wearing day to day, to be a bit more inventive with my wardrobe and try out different outfits. Another thing I wanted to do was have a good old sort out of my sewing area, so sewing patterns, my wardrobe and my sewing space. And I also wanted to try and sew more, which might sound a little bit strange, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by that a little bit later on. But those were the challenges that I wanted to set myself really. So on the whole, I'm pretty pleased with how I stuck to the challenge this year. I feel as though I was really good, apart from the last week of the month. I was pretty good really at filming my clips and sharing photos here on YouTube. Could have been better over on Instagram, but there we go. I also did sort out the 3 main areas of my sewing space that I really wanted to sort, which were my patterns, my wardrobe, including my handmade clothes, and my sewing space. And I have filmed a video of all 3 of those sort outs, which I'll link below if you haven't already seen them and you'd like to watch them. I do feel as well as though I did get more sewing done, so I'm really pleased with that too. So with all that said, let's get into the 5 main things that I will be taking away from Me Made May this year. So the first thing I'll be taking away from my Me Made May challenges this year is to grab pockets of sewing time when they become available. So I've talked in the past about how I'm really bad at slow sewing. I feel as though if I don't have a big pocket or a big load of time to get something started and finished in one day, I just don't tend to do any sewing. and that's really bad. And I'm finding that those sort of large pockets of time are becoming less and less available to me now, and so it's kind of stopped me sewing in a way. So I need to find a different way of working. So what I'm trying to teach myself is that I need to grab, say, half an hour's here and there, or hours here and there if I have an hour before the school run or an hour before dinner or something like that. There's a lot you can get done in those small pockets of time. And I do think that the one thing that puts me off of sewing like that is that I do have to get everything out and set it up on the dining table behind me. So in my head, I tend to say, oh, I don't have enough time if it's going to be dinner in like an hour and a half or something. I can't face the thought of getting everything out and then having to pack it away again, which probably sounds really silly, but it's definitely putting me off of sewing. But what I've realised in this month, where I've tried to grab 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour here and there, is that actually it doesn't take me that long to set up my sewing space and put it all away again. It probably takes, I don't know, 3 minutes, say, to set it all up. Maybe a little bit longer to tidy away when I've made a mess, but really it's not that long. So I need to stop thinking that way, and I need to grab these pockets of time here and there and sew slowly. Because even if I get something like a little bit of pressing done in half an hour, or a little bit of stay stitching, or a couple of darts sewn, say, in whatever I'm making at the time, it's still pushing me forward to get a garment made at the end of those pockets of time. And actually I'm learning that things come together much more quickly than I think sewing that way. I did share recently in my mates video that I'm sewing a patina blouse. I've actually finished it now, but the way that I sewed that was actually to sew in that way. So I grabbed an hour here and there, half an hour if I had a little bit of time in between something else that I was doing. I would just do a quick bit of sewing, and actually that blouse came together really quickly, and I felt as though I sewed it really nicely as well, because I wasn't getting myself really tired. So I'm really bad as well at kind of pushing through to get to the end, even when I feel myself getting tired when I'm sewing. And as we all know, that's when mistakes happen, and it's when we don't do our best work, or me anyway. So I'm really going to try and use my time a bit more wisely when it comes to sewing, and sew more slowly in that way. Number 2 is that I need to wear my maids more, which might sound strange, but I've become really lazy in my dressing recently, and I do blame our very long winter for that in some ways, because here in the UK it has been very cold, and even now coming into the summer months it's still pretty cold. So I've been really bad at just putting on, say, leggings and a sweatshirt or something, just to be comfy and cozy when I'm working at home, walking the dog and doing things like day-to-day things. But during Me Made May, because I had kind of challenged myself to make more effort with what I was wearing, to wear my Me Maids. To me, it did feel as though I was making a little bit more effort, which probably sounds really awful, but I know that I have got really lazy recently. And actually challenging myself to put different outfits together and wear my Me Maids, it actually made me feel really good, and I felt as though I was much more put together. I really enjoyed wearing my Me Maids. I think I'd kind of become quite precious about wearing them, and I sort of felt as though if I wasn't doing anything special, then I probably shouldn't be wearing something that I've made, because what's the point if I'm just going to be working at home? But I have decided now that I'm not going to think that way anymore, and I'm going to wear more of my Me Maids day to day, because they need to be worn. And even though I have put a lot of effort into something, and maybe I feel as though I need to save it for best, actually every day is special, isn't it? And we should celebrate every day and wear our nice clothes day to day. So that's something that I definitely want to continue as we go into the summer months, just to wear more of my Me Made clothes and just enjoy wearing them for myself. And it doesn't matter if I'm not doing anything particularly special, I should just wear them and feel good in them anyway, and I think we all should. Number 3 is that it's okay to wear ready to wear clothes, which might sound a little bit strange going alongside my last point. But the point for me anyway is that I don't think I'm ever going to be the kind of person that has a fully handmade wardrobe, because I do enjoy wearing ready to wear clothes. And I felt as though sometimes in Me Made May, and I think a lot of people feel like this too, if I was wearing something ready to wear, I couldn't really mention it, or I felt as though I shouldn't be wearing it, and I felt almost as though I was being a bit of a fraud, which is silly really, because I have a real mix and match wardrobe. I have a lot of ready to wear clothes still, and I also have me made clothes, and I tend to mix and match them and wear them together, and that's absolutely fine. And I think that was the main reason really why I stopped filming towards the end of the month, because during half term and the weekend that we were away, we went to a seaside town basically. We went to a theme park, and what I was wearing was ready to wear jeans, a ready to wear t-shirt and a ready to wear sweatshirt. And I really enjoy wearing those clothes because they're the kind of clothes, they kind of graphic t-shirts I suppose, like with a graphic picture on them or whatever, and you can't make that, and I don't necessarily want to try and replicate that in my handmade wardrobe anyway, but I did feel as though when I was wearing those things I couldn't really film and share what I was wearing, which I suppose is right, because at the end of the day this is Me Made May. But what I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't feel guilty for wearing ready to wear clothes alongside our handmade clothes. For me, I think I'm just going to continue enjoying to mix and match my ready to wear alongside my ready to wear clothes. I think making my own clothes has definitely made me more intentional about what ready to wear clothes I do buy. I definitely don't buy as much from shops anymore as I used to. And it's definitely made me think more about the quality of what I'm buying as well, which is really good. But for me, I think having a mix and match wardrobe is just the way it's always going to be, and I'm not going to feel guilty or bad about that. And I will share more about the ready to wear clothes that I'm wearing too. Number 4, which isn't really a lesson, or it kind of is I suppose, but it's my most worn garments. So again, I'll just mention the weather. So it had been pretty cold all the way through May, and so I was reaching more towards my sort of wintry or transitional pieces, I guess. My most worn garments by far really were my Logan shackets, and I'm wearing one of them today. So I really enjoyed wearing my Logan shackets. In fact, it got to the point towards the end of the month where I was trying to put together me-made outfits, and I really thought I could do with some more of these because I was just repeating the same ones over and over. So for me, yeah, definitely Logan shackets were well worn during May. It was because it was quite chilly, as I say, and they're great for layering. So today I'm wearing one of my favourite outfits from Me Made May, which is a pair of coated leggings, one of my Ogden Cami tops, which is made from an Atelier Brunette viscose crepe fabric with a Logan shacket over the top. And that is such a comfy outfit, and if it gets hot you can take the shirt off. If it's cold, these do keep you really nice and warm actually, and I am a cold person, but I do feel like I'm quite warm with these on. Obviously it depends what fabric you've sewn them in. I've got this one which is a washed viscose linen. I've also got more of a wool type one, and I've got a cotton, brushed cotton tartan one as well, and a quilted one which I didn't wear in Me Made May actually, and I need to wear that one more. But I do feel as though I could do with a couple more of these. Another thing I reached for a lot in Me Made May was my stripy toaster sweater. So I have 2 versions of version 2 of the toaster sweater, and I really enjoy wearing both of them. So the 2 versions I've got, I have one in French terry. No, they're both in French terry actually, and they work really well for transitional months because they're quite light and also quite warm as well. So I really felt as though I could do with another one of those, and I'm going to look out for a French terry fabric that I can use for making another one of those. Another well-worn item was definitely my Ogden Cami. So I wore them like this under my shirts, but also I was really trying to wear more of my knitted garments, so hand knitted cardigans and things like that, and they worked really well underneath those too. So number 5 was that I learned about where the gaps were in my wardrobe. So I think mainly the gaps in my kind of handmade wardrobe occur in the sort of cozy clothes area of my wardrobe. So a lot of my really cozy clothes, I'd say, the things that I just want to put on when I want to be warm and cozy, or in the evening watching TV or whatever. I think a lot of my cozy clothes are still ready to wear, which, as I've said, is absolutely fine, and I don't mind that at all really. But I guess it would be nice to have a few handmade pieces. I do have my lovely Jarrah set, which is my Hudson pants and my Jarrah sweatshirt, and that is probably the coziest handmade thing that I own. But I would really like a couple more, say, oversized handmade sweatshirts that I can just put on in the evening or when I want to be cozy. So that's something, and also exercise wear as well. So I mentioned a lot in my vlog style videos how Wednesday is my Pilates day, and I tend to just wear my exercise clothes sometimes throughout the day, which is pretty lazy. But I did realised throughout that actually a lot of my exercise clothes are coming to the end of their life. They're looking a bit shabby, let's say. It would be really nice to try and make some exercise wear. So things that I can wear for doing yoga and doing Pilates, say a pair of leggings, maybe like an oversized t-shirt top would be nice as well, something that's quite nice and drapey that you can put on over like an exercise vest or something. And that would be something different to make for me as well, because I've never made any leggings and I've never really made any exercise clothes for myself. So that's something that I'd really like to try in the future. Something else that I realised in my handmade wardrobe, and actually even my ready-to-wear wardrobe, is that I only own one long sleeve t-shirt and that is my fairly new mustard Agnes t-shirt. I used to have a couple of Bowden long sleeve stripy t-shirts that I wore to death and in the end had to get rid of, and I always meant to replace myself. I wanted to sew a couple similar and I've never got around to it, and I feel as though in these kind of colder summer months that we're having, long sleeve t-shirts would be really useful. So that's another gap that I'd really like to look at filling, and it's made me revisit a couple of patterns that I'd forgotten about actually. The Cocoa pattern by Tilly and the Buttons is something that I'd really like to sew a couple of, probably from a stripy fabric because I love a stripe, that you can just put on with jeans, or even in the summertime when it's a little bit cooler, you can wear them with skirts and sapphire trousers and things like that. That is a real gap in my wardrobe that I would like to fill as well. And then of course there's the Logans and the other toaster sweater, which I've also said I'd like to make. So that leaves me with a very long sewing list. I'm adding to my list here because I already have a list as long as my arm of summer things that I'd like to make too. So, you know, they may or may not get done. So that's my very vague kind of random roundup of the 5 things that I have taken away from Me Made May this year. I hope that was kind of interesting. I know that this month has been really interesting for me, and I've really enjoyed filming my clips and taking photos of what I've been wearing. And obviously I've loved sharing them with you and on Instagram, but also it's really good for me because I can remember different outfits that I wore and my favourites and things that I can kind of revisit and use throughout the spring and summer months. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'd love to know in the comments below if you took part in Me Made May and how you found the challenge. Let me know if you've learned anything from the month of May. Me Made May. Let me know if there's any gaps in your wardrobe you'd like to fill. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love you to consider subscribing. I do post regularly, mainly on a Sunday morning at 8 AM and sometimes midweek as well. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. Otherwise, take care and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.